This is the 18th season of Bass Talk Live. With your host, Matt Pangrath. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Bass Cat Boats, AFCO, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, X-Zone Lures, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, and Pro Guide Batteries.
PTL, coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. It is Wednesday, August 24th. Almost to the end of August.
Almost here. September.
That is sitting in the seat next to me there, Mr. Bradley Hallman. Like I said before, his kids go to school down the road, so I don't know what day of the week, when, or how, but sometimes he texts me. He's like, hey, you want me to roll by and stop by the studio, since I literally have to pass it on the way to drop the kids off? And I'm like, absolutely. Never turned down a chance to have Bradley Hallman in studio, but we are almost back in action for the Final Four Bassmaster Opens of the 2022 season.
Dude, you're going to have a lot of work to do to put some stuff in the can because we're not going to be home very much.
Yeah, so I'm working on shows for the next couple weeks already, and did a really, really good show. Really pumped up about this one with Gerald Spohr. Ran into him at ICAST. I used to talk to him like all the time, right? And then he got busy, he got big, and then he was offshore all the time. So I did a really, really good show on with Gerald Spohr, and it's interesting. We did a show, and we talked nothing industry. It was all fishing related, right?
Right.
About his tools that are always on the front deck, regardless of where he goes coast to coast, and why those tools are the basic tools. And there's like 5 or 6 of them, and his reasoning and stuff behind it is really good. And then later today, I'm actually filming with probably the hottest angler. Yeah, the hottest angler going right now without a win, I guess, would be Dakota Ebear. We'll have to ask our guest today. He's been able to cover him through professionally.
Yep.
And watched a lot of it go down, and that is, I had to ask for his title, Managing Editor - Website Major League Fishing's Jody White. He's also a heck of a bass fisherman.
Jody's been around the block a while now. I remember when he was a young man, but he has been doing this for quite some time.
He's still a young man.
He is.
Added a
he just started.
Just added a mustache. That's all he did.
He was like 12 when he started. He looked like it anyway.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Dakota Ebear, looking forward to. I don't know Dakota that well. I always tell the story, and I'm sure I'll tell it later. The only thing I know about Dakota Ebear is I watched him break 60-pound braid on a frog in the back of a pocket, and I was complaining about losing a fish, and he to another angler, and all of a sudden over my shoulder I hear him yell, "At least you didn't break off a 4-pounder on a frog." And I look back, and it was Dakota Ebear. He was pretty bitter, but I mean, everything has been going right for him lately, and he's one of those guys who deserves some hardware, don't you think? As well as he's been fishing with he's like 5 top 6s in a row, I think, between the BPT and the pro circuit.
It's coming. He's been hungry for a while. I've known him for quite a while.
You do know Dakota?
I've actually stayed in the house with him before.
Really? Yep. He's one of those dudes who seems like he can't. Well, I'll ask him about this when I film, but to me, and having fished the Costas at the time, Toyotas now, and the Opens, and covering this game, he's one of those guys that it appears out of thin air to most people, but the people behind the scenes know how hard he's worked and how many tournaments he's fished and how much he's paid his dues. Yeah. So it looks like, hey, who is this guy who's all of a sudden catching him on the BPT and the pro circuit? But in reality, that dude spends way more time on the water than your average cat.
Yeah, he's one of the young guys that early on was literally living out of the back of his truck.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
And then
hungry.
And then got one of the little campers. He's done about everything he can to do this sport, and he's devoted to it 12 months out of the year.
I'm so proud of you. Is the mustache tickling the mic? Does it get stuck when you speak? I like how you are right up against that windscreen on the mic, just making.
Once I started, like, it's the square bill against the lay down.
That's all you have to think for the next hour. It's just square bill on the lay down. You want it just to be kissing that wood. All right, he's jacking. He's laughing about it. Let's bring in Jody White, Mr. Jody White. Thank you. I think, is this the first time that you've ever been on BTL, or have you made one other appearance in the past?
It is definitely the first time I've been on BTL, and thanks for having me on.
Oh, we have Joe Pogger on all the time, and Joe is great, but he's the media guy, right? The PC guy who has the general answers to everything. Does he? I mean, he kind of calls you for info sometimes, doesn't he?
Well, maybe, but so like Joe, when I first started with FLW, Joe worked alongside me, kind of helped me get hired, and then when Joe's boss left, Joe was my boss for a period of time. So like Joe was one of the first people when I started working in fishing out of college that, I got to know.
Genuinely good dude.
He's awesome.
Yeah, genuinely good dude.
Yeah.
Nice guy. So you're set the stage here. What do you do? What is your title? What is your job? How do you pay the bills to afford fancy mics like that make my job easier because your sound is so crisp and clean?
First of all, work bought the mic. It's not, I didn't spend any money on that. And I don't own my own camera gear. I, spend all my money on fishing stuff basically. But I pretty much cover tournaments for a living. I started out doing the PR side for FLW. I did that for like a year and a half, 2 years in Minnesota. And, I've always been full-time on a salary, like a regular job. And then I moved down to Kentucky and started working down there at the Kentucky office. And that's when I kind of moved to the magazine website side. And I've really just been doing that ever since. Tournament coverage, from slapping on GoPros in the morning when we used to do that to trying to figure out where so-and-so who's in 7th in a Toyota Series event is on some lake where there's a thunderstorm.
So you're kind of a jack of all trades on that, and then you just slowly worked your way up. So you've been there. You've been at FLW/MLF. You said, did you say what the first year you started was out of?
I meant to go look it up a minute ago, and I never did, but I think I've been here 9 years now.
Wow.
It's almost a decade. That's a lot longer than a lot of people last in the industry. It's a career now. Like, I remember when I hit like that kind of time period with Mark, everyone said, it's a miracle you can survive Mark for 8 or 9 years. But once I got over that initial shock, I realized, holy cow, this is a career, right? It's not like, oh, I did that for a couple years. It's like a whole, and then who knows how long you make it last, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, but you have a career in the industry now once you've made it that long.
Yeah, I mean, it helps. I'm a morning person. Takeoff is pretty easy for me. And I really like watching people catch bass. And honestly, I don't know. I like mowing the lawn, but I'm not good enough at fishing to make money fishing. And I really don't know what else I'd be good at. I can't do math. I don't really like kids that much.
Dude, we're the same person,
there's
Judge.
a lot of things where I'm I just don't know what I would do if I didn't do this. So it's, I got really lucky to end up here.
I've roomed with Brad. Now I want to get into, Brad called and he said, hey, I get in the studio. I said, you know Jody White, right? And Brad got jacked up. He's like, dude, beyond no Jody White. He's like, he's my boy. He's like, we go way back. Yes, I'm coming in studio for Jody White, but I want to go back to the morning thing. The guy sitting next to me here, have you ever stayed? You stayed with him before. He is probably one of the top 5 worst morning people I've ever been around. Even when he's in a good mood, horrible morning person, Brad.
I can see that. I agree.
I feel like probably when I stayed with you, Brad, I probably was leaving the house before you were up, just because it was Grand Lake and I knew I was going to suck. And you were there at Grand Lake and you're like, yeah, I'm going to make a top 10. This is easy. And so I feel like I might not have experienced the morning you.
I don't think I made a top 10 that week. That was
you caught him really good day one.
Yeah, that was that was probably the first Bassmaster Open that I had fished anything bass in many, 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 many years. You fished all of them that year, correct? And that was like the last one of the season, and I just jumped in.
Well,
yeah.
I fished. That was when they were doing like the 2 divisions with 4 in each one.
Yeah.
And so I fished 2 years of that, and then as a co-angler before that. And
you won as a co-angler, didn't you?
Yeah, at Smith Lake. That was pretty fun.
Who'd you draw on that?
I feel really bad because I cannot remember the guy's name on day one. Dude, we had a phenomenal day, and it'll hit me.
Is he around still?
He definitely still fishes, but like he was younger than me. He was like 18 or 19. Like
Jacob Wheeler?
No, but dude, we like smashed him on day one together, but also broke down and got towed back. And like there was one point where like I was crushing him and I caught my limit and I gave him my rod and he caught fish. Like it was crazy. And then day 2, I fished with Jamie Caldwell and I just got like extremely big bites all day. Like I didn't catch like that many fish. It just was really fortunate. And then it was over because they'd canceled the first day because of weather.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. That's a big win, though. Anytime you can have the hardware on it. As a media guy, too, to kind of legitimize yourself. Like, hey, you know, I can catch him, too, and talk about him and do the photos and editorial comment.
Then I sold the boat that I won and then blew all the money I made from the boat fishing the opens from the front. And that went great.
I don't think that's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, you're supposed to like sell the boat and then, you know, just make a career of it like David Mullins, right? Yeah, or it turns out you're bad.
Hey, before we get into like the kind of behind the scenes talk, I have a couple I got some MLF questions. It seems to me like the Toyota series is absolutely rolling. Like boat numbers, the payout, the interest at that level. Starting out some 300 plus boat fields, but seems like that is really going well for the MLF side.
Yeah, it really is. I think there's like a couple of things to that. One is the championship is a really cool tournament. I mean, it's 200,000 plus if you win, and it's, you know, kind of at a time of year where there's not a whole lot going on, and it's just a really cool tournament to be in. And then the other thing is the schedules for the divisions are generally really good schedules. You know, you can like get victimized by weather and whatnot, but this year for the Northern Division, it was the Potomac. The fishing was awesome. It was Champlain. We actually had over 200 boats at Champlain. We had more boats at Champlain than we did at the Potomac. Some of that was a sort of scheduling quirk because of, you know, because of the pro circuit being there and then the title. So there were a lot of guys hanging around, but you know, running over 200 boats on Champlain for us is huge. And then the last one's at the St. Lawrence out of Messina again. Like, I feel like the Toyota series really have really fun schedules usually. And they're not, it doesn't seem like they're quite the level of commitment that the opens are. It's a little bit easier route in. Not that it's easy to do well in them, because if you look at any given top 10, they're stacked. But it seems like it's a really good AAA option for sure.
That's awesome. The other thing that I wanted to get in was, and we've had pretty much every angler from west of Oklahoma that I've had on has mentioned this, as far as you do have a Western division in the Toyota series with Havasu, Clear Lake, and the California Delta. How serious, and I don't know how much you can or can't talk of this, but talk about the importance of having and being the only major organization with a presence on the West Coast, and how seriously the thoughts of a pro circuit or BPT eventually actually going out west of Oklahoma are on the schedule. I mean, your smile is there. There's had to have been talks about that.
So I don't do any scheduling. I had
Okay.
one slight foray into scheduling once, and it really didn't honestly go that well. And so I'm happy to not schedule things. I know we actually, I guess a couple of days ago, we sent out a survey to all the Western anglers who, I guess it was probably everyone who had fished a tournament this year, to ask them where and when they wanted the 3 Toyota Series events, because it's not really a secret out west. We're struggling for numbers. You know, if you look at the field sizes, it's not doing what we're doing back east. And it's the same product, but it's also not, because for them, the championship is like a 2-day drive, like minimum. And, you know, for them to qualify to fish on the pro circuit, well, it's a dream for some guys, but for a lot of guys, it's kind of unattainable, because then you have to go on the road 6 or 7 weeks, you know, 2 days from your house. So I think that there are definitely folks at MLF who would like to go out west. There's some like pretty prominent Western pros who would probably love to see some tournaments out there. But I mean, I'm not the one doing the scheduling, but I think that it's kind of a big leap, as cool as it would be. I would love to cover a Western swing. The Toyota Series events out west and the Costas out west that I've covered, like, there's some of the coolest events. You know, Clear Lake is really awesome. Havasu is awesome. I covered one at Shasta once. That was like beautiful. The weather was terrible, but it was a really cool tournament. You know, I love going out there. And I would love us to have tournaments out there, but I think logistically and, you know, sort of from an economic standpoint, I think that the decision makers, maybe wisely, maybe not, but I don't think it's like top of mind for us to go out there, you know, this year.
Do you like going out there, Brad?
I do, but I live in Oklahoma, so I mean, for me,
it's kind of the
for
same
us,
as going to the East Coast.
It's the same as going to Florida.
Well,
it's the same as going to Champlain.
It's not at all. There's In-N-Out Burger out there.
Oh, I'm just talking about distance, mileage-wise. I've always been for the West Coast. I like it. I've actually looked at some of the regional stuff. I mean, not recently, but
the Apex stuff, the West Bass stuff.
Yeah.
Wild West,
the Toyotas. I've looked at all that. Thought about going to the West Coast and trying to figure out how to do that. I've even, just from us fishing out there for the U.S. Open, I've got enough connections that I probably could get by without maybe a tournament or so. I could probably even borrow a boat and do it. I've got enough friends out there now. But yeah, I like that layout out there. I do.
Interesting. How many of these do you go to now this year, as far as like on location coverage? Because sometimes it seems like I see you at the events, but then other times you're not. So like, what is your kind of basic schedule at what levels too, between, BPT, Pro Circuit, Toyotas?
So I think this year I'm going to I will go to 11 total events.
Okay.
In years past, I've gone to probably as many as 15. I've worked a couple of days of the Bass Pro Tour event at Champlain last year, but other than that, I've never worked a BPT event. I pretty much buckle up for all the Pro Circuit events, all the FLW Tour events, back in the day, and then some Toyota Series stuff, and then I'll usually work the College National Championship or the BFL All-American. I'll work one of those major events, and I'm definitely on the road a little bit less now than I used to be, which is nice because it gives me a little more time to fish. It's a little less travel time. But whenever there's a Toyota Series tournament, there's still a 90% chance that I'm involved on the back end, whether it's editing photos, editing the stories, doing that last leg of getting the stuff on the website.
I got you. Fishing wise, I say this because I got asked this a lot until I finally just jumped all in. Passion, hobby, professional pursuit, stress relief. Where does the tournament fishing fall in your realm of? I understand. I understand. One of the few guys who's kind of been in a position like you're in too. Where does that stand? Hopes and dreams versus reality versus what's the deal with your on the water?
I think that at some point in time, I could put it together and win a big tournament on Champlain. And I would if whenever there's a Bass Open next at Champlain, I'm gonna be in it. Not saying I feel like I should win or am that good now, but I would love to do that. I think like anyone, like you would love to fish a classic. I would love to fish the All-American actually, but I can't fish our events, so I'm not gonna probably fish the All-American until like after I retire or something like that. And by then I might not be any good anymore. But I am like really, really content to, go fish and not have any money on the line. And I also really like fishing tournaments. So it's kind of both. But when I was younger, I wasn't good enough, and I probably didn't pursue it seriously enough to like have a career catching fish. And I'm kind of past trying to pursue a career catching fish now. I'm totally happy to fish locally, try and catch fish around the house, not drive crazy distances, and just have a really fun time.
He's smarter than me.
Well, he sounds like you used to sound. You used to say some of the same things.
Yeah. But here's my deal, and I think Jody, I think you get this because you're smart and you understand how hard it is that these guys work. Like when you're out there covering and you're doing it, like those are the guys. It's amazing. Like those guys have been there, they've done it, they've made it, they've put the dues in, and you have to be all in on covering them because that's right. That's the right thing to do. Not focus on what you've done, but provide the best coverage for them and highlight those anglers because, like I said, they put their dues in and they've done it, and that's what they deserve.
Oh yeah, like the I work pretty hard when I'm at a tournament because it's you have guys who put up like thousands of dollars to try to fish these things, and they're a customer, and that's what's due. I don't feel like you can slack off on that at all. Yeah. My number one thing is that I spend too much time on the water, and so I come back and I'm late for weigh-in, or not late for weigh-in, but I come back and I'm eating like a granola bar before weigh-in to get the photos up. And really, I should have come in earlier and like got the on the water gallery up, but I wanted to drive 10 more miles to one more guy.
Get one more. Brad, Jody talked about wanting to make the All-American. I missed the All-American by, I think, 11 ounces in 2013. I've talked about this one before. Is the one that Castledine fished, where he looked at me in the bag line and he goes, "If your co-angler's catching a limit behind you, you're doing it wrong." And then turned around and wouldn't speak to me the rest of the time. Anyway, long story short, you have what? That's the truth. That's what he did. That was the first thing Todd Castledine ever said to me.
Sounds just like him.
I just said something like, "Yeah, my co-angler's got a good bag," and he made the All-American. I actually just saw that co-angler that I fished with at a concert at a concert at Track 5 a couple weeks ago. He was there with his girlfriend, and he came up to me and he's like, I said, "You're the guy who kicked my butt out of the back in the regional to go to the All-American." And he's like, "That's me." You could tell his girlfriend was like, "Dude, yeah." And then he's won a BFL since then. But anyway, long story short, you have fished in the All-American. I wanted to make it too, like Joe did, but you have fished in the All-American. You have top 20'd in the All-American. Now, I know the All-American is different than it used to be, but when you fished it, it was in its prime, 2010. Yeah. What was the All-American like for you in your career in 2010? Because when you made it, you'd already been on the Elite Series.
It was something that I went back and did. I backdoored it because it was a piece of, just like you two guys, it was a big deal, and it was something that I wanted on my resume. And anyway, I went back. It was a big deal, and it was great. That was back when they still supplied boats. Do they still do that, Jody? They still supply boats for? I didn't think so.
No.
So they brought all the brand new. I think that was Ranger at the time, obviously, and everybody had a new Ranger sitting out in the parking lot. And
you good?
Yeah, it was. My eye just keeps watering. Okay. It was a really cool event. It was over in Arkansas. It wasn't far away from home. It was back when the Hot Springs area was going off, and there was some bushes in the water in that place. So it was an all right tournament. I'm trying to think of who won. This guy I fished with in FLW forever. It was the one that I don't know why I feel terrible about forgetting his name.
Probably Jeff Coble. He won a lot of them around that.
No. Coble had already won way before.
Troy Morrow.
Troy Morrow. Yep, it's the one Troy won.
You know what's amazing is on the MLF website, when you click on a tournament, it doesn't say link not active. It actually pulls up who actually did well in that tournament.
Really?
It drives me nuts on the Bassmaster website. Like, they did a great job, Crit. They do a great job over there running it, but they don't have the links yet to where when you click on the tournament, it just says, like, link not found or link not active. So you have to go back anyway. Yeah. But I like on MLF. While we're complaining about websites, can we get some BPT stats on the website, Jody?
Boy, wouldn't that be great?
It would be amazing if I could click under Edwin Evers and it would tell me since 2019 what he's done on the BPT. It's 6 tournaments a year plus the majors and a championship. If you can put All-American results from 2010 up there, why can we not get some BPT angler results in there? It makes my job easier, puts everything in perspective.
It would make my job easier, too. This morning, I had to go back through all of the individual BPT events this year to make sure that a stat we were using for Dakota Ebert for the top 10 pattern story for the title was right, because he's made like
6 in a row. 5 in a row or something.
Oh, something. And he's had I think either 4 or 5 top 3 finishes across the Toyota Series, Bass Pro Tour, and Pro Circuit this year without winning. And it's amazing. But anyway, instead of being able to click a nice little, tab on his profile, I had to go to the results from every tournament.
It's got to be some sort of coding deal or some sort of way that they use it where they can't add it, but it drives me nuts. And then I also used to like that you could take their bass earnings and combine them with their FLW or Major League Fishing earnings at the time. But then when all those guys switched from bass, they just took their earnings from bass and plastered it on their new profile. So now you have no idea how much a guy has won because you've got their bass earnings intermingled with their MLF earnings and their FLW earnings back in the day. So when you have an independent media source like me that's trying to put into perspective how much a guy has won, you can't tell because some of that money that's on the MLF website is based on bass. That's an issue that maybe affects 3 people on Earth, and I'm one of them. So we can move on from that.
Well, and it's weird because Kyle Coriano's winnings are updated, right? If you go to his profile, he's made $255,000 and change, with MLF and FLW. If you go to Dakota's profile, because he's on the Bass Pro Tour, his winnings are almost certainly not updated because we still have to do those manually. There's some sort of divide on the back end between the Bass Pro Tour stats and, regular 4-day 5-fish stats. And I would love for whoever, it's not my job, thankfully, but I would love for us to be able to get that to work together. But I'm not really sure when that's going to happen. But man, it'd make my life easier.
All right, we're going to take a break, first break of the show. When we come back, I want you and Bradley to get into I want Bradley to get into, he was super fired up when he found out you were on, and he's like, dude, we go way back even before tournaments. So we're going to get into that, maybe some of the good stories that you guys have. So BTL, I have to click it because the days just roll by. On a Wednesday, August 24th. What?
You have to click it to see what day it is.
I was, dude. I didn't even realize I was stressed out. So it was my uncle's 70th birthday yesterday. So I recorded a little deal for him.
That's awesome.
And then I watched it back and I was like, I look stressed out and tired in that video. But I feel spry. I feel spry. But anyway, it is Wednesday, August 24th. Jody White with Brad Hallman in studio. We'll be back right after this.
Your key to better fishing this season is Elite FS, now available at a new lower price. Get Elite FS 9 today for $9.99, and we'll throw in a C-Map reveal chart, our premium mapping solution, for free. Elite FS works with all state-of-the-art Lowrance sonar, from chirp, side scan, and down scan imaging with fish reveal to high-resolution active target live sonar. Elite FS9 and C-Map reveal. Offer ends August 31st.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
We're just about ready to go, ladies and gentlemen. Get in order.
Once again, Drew Cook is in the driver's seat.
When you're catching fish for a living, you can't let a little cold, rain, heat, humidity, or anything else get in the way of a payday. I wear APCO. Any fish, any water.
The KVD 100 jerkbait. 15 different colors. A perfect combination of roll, wiggle, and flash. Increased castability. 3D eyes. Premium black nickel hooks. KVD. Tie one on. Striking lures.
Are you looking to install your own fishing electronics? Well, the Bass Tank is here to help you. The solution is the Bass Tank Power Harness. It takes the guesswork out of installation. No more voltage issues or interference. Designed by an engineer so that you can get professional results right there in your own garage. Installation done right with the help of the Bass Tank Power Harness. You can feel confident knowing that your installation was done right. The Bass Tank Power Harness. Give us a call or order yours today at thebasstank.com.
Elite Series Pro Daryl Gleason here. My Pro Guide batteries keep me going on those long tournament days and long practice days. Always plenty of juice, never fail. The best part about Pro Guide batteries, it's the people behind the company. They have over 40 years experience in the battery business, keeping all of us fishermen out on the water longer, catching more fish. Check them out at ProGuideBatteries.com.
What's up, Bass Talk Live fans? Brandon Polnick here. And ever since I won a couple Bassmaster Elite Series events on X-Zone Lures, I've been getting a bunch of questions of what makes them so special and different. And really, the truth is, it's in the details. The little details, things like no cheap fillers in their plastic. That gives you more lifelike action, more realistic and vibrant colors. But don't just take my word for it. Go to www.xzonelures.com and check them out for yourself.
Back live Wednesday, BTO. Jody White, MLF, and Bassmaster Opens angler. Bradley Hallman, two-time FLW Tour champion and Costa Series champion. You know you're getting old when everything you've won is no longer called the same thing. That's how I did it. Like
it's not that you're getting old. It's that it's been a while since you have won.
It's the same thing. Like every hockey team I played for growing up no longer exists anymore. In fact, several of the leagues I played in no longer exist anymore.
Yeah. That's actually where Jody and I met the first time, I believe, was the first Costa win, I believe. Does that sound right, Jody? Is that kind of the first time we...
Was that the spook on Grand in the rain?
And the long net over the docks in the rain? Yeah, that was the one for sure.
Yeah. That was a special day because that was home pond leading going into the last day. Definitely didn't want to let that go. Hell of a top 10. I mean, stacked. Matt Airy, Jason Christie, Dustin. Why did I go blank?
I'm about to have it here.
Dude, it was.
Oh, I got
it. Was
it.
Loaded.
Holy cow.
Yeah, read that.
Yeah,
out.
like it was
Watson.
Listen
Dodson,
to this. This is
Watson,
nuts.
Dodson.
Now, we'll start from the bottom. Brandon Perkins, Dylan Hayes, Jeremy Lawyer, James Watson, Robbie Dotson, Jason Christie, Todd Castledine, Matt Airy, Jonathan Henry, and you won that by 5 pounds?
Yeah.
I did not know that you won that by 5 pounds.
It was the last day, and Jody was with me. That's what's cool.
If you watched him that last day, you would have thought he won by 20 pounds. It was epic.
Yeah, we started on some docks and did a little dock deal and caught them. and it was pouring down rain. This was an epic sight fishing event is what this was. Everyone there in the top 10 had been looking at them all week. Grand Lake was clearer than it had ever been. Doesn't look like that now.
What year is that? Oh, 15 was the zebra mussel year.
Zebra mussels. And the big ones were up there. Anyway, pours down rain, right, Jody? Jody's with me. So this is where I'm going to go down this rabbit hole, Jody, with you in a minute. Anyway, he was with the camera boat that was with me and pouring down rain. And you can't look at them anymore. And I had no clue what to do. And I picked up a spook, and it was like nobody had been on the lake for 2 years, wasn't it, Jody? I mean, it was just unreal.
Like, sometimes they eat a spook and they don't really hit it that hard. And sometimes it was like every fish was out to just, like, they had never seen that bait before, and also they hated it.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah. I was like, I don't think I need to sight fish anymore. It could keep raining. But anyway.
Dude, I think you went like 30 yards with the spook. Like, you sight fished behind the docks. You kind of went around the corner a little bit. You picked up the spook, and you caught like a 3 3/4 or a 4 in like, I don't know, 10 minutes maybe.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Yeah. And then you got the shot of the giant. You remember that? Like, I was like, dude, there's been a big one over there on a bed for like a week, and I can't get her to go. Just get up there on that dock. And I went back there with that. Yeah, that one right there. That's actually Jody's shot.
Photo by Jody White, like, angler Bradley Hallman. I pulled it up. Look at it. It's pouring down rain. Yeah. Mega boil.
Yeah, that's Jody's work. So this is what Jody does, right? This is what you do all the time. I mean, you just did this at the championship, correct? At the title event. And you've been doing this now for 9 years, following guys. Every tournament. Yeah, that's all Jody's shots too. So Pangrac also, just like you. So this is the rabbit hole I want to go down with you real quick. Talking about fishing and an experience and your tournament fishing and Matt's tournament fishing. Before Bass Talk Live, Mark Jeffries had the Bass Zone, right? The website, the Bass Zone. And Mark was always really good at being one of the first originators. His ideas were original. And he sent Pangrac out on the water with Harold Allen, a legend of the sport who had retired. And they did the same thing that you do every day, right? But you do it working for MLF, FLW. Matt did it working for an independent media agency, being Bass Zone. But anyway, point being is that Matt did it for how many years did you and Harold, and did you do the follow boat deal on the Elite Series?
My first event ever by myself was I think the 2008 FLW event in Detroit. And Jeffrey sent me there and misbooked the room. So I was like 23 in Detroit with no room.
Not a good thing.
It was chaos. But I went to every single Elite Series from the second half of the 2008 season through the 2018 season.
Okay. So how many years is that?
11 years.
Okay.
Plus every, Forest Wood Cup, 2 or 3 FLWs a year.
Right.
Every classic, Angler of the Year deal.
And Jody's done it now for 9 years, and he's done it with the Toyotas, the Costas, and he's done it on the FLW Tour, the MLF, Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit. I always struggle with the names because I'm getting old. Point being is that you guys have an education. You have literally, and Jody, you do the same thing that Matt did. You make phone calls. You do pregame interviews. You hear, what are the patterns that the guys think they're going to catch on the lake, and then you go back home and you break all that media down and you put it out for everything. So, like, you're really into it, just like Matt was, and you have to be, right? That's your gig. But it's more than just that for y'all. Y'all are like really interested in the intricate details of the patterns and what's going on. And then you guys kind of sit around. And I know you've recently lost your little compadre with Kyle, who took a job at Rapala. You're from Vermont. You probably pronounce it Rapala.
So I'm a Rapala guy. In Kyle's honor, I have decided to start pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah, it's Rapala. It's Lori Rapala.
Okay, so I don't want to get off. I don't want to get off this story too much because this is a really good one. You two guys, and this is what I tell Matt, and I've never thought about this, or maybe we did talk about this at some point, Jody. But you two guys have had an education following the very best in the world on their very best days when they are dialed in as you can get in this sport. And you've watched them. And you've seen it progress from practice with all the dock talk and the things that are going on and all the things that are said. And then you have been able to follow them, not watching them on live. I mean, literally watching them boat to boat, taking pictures, interviewing them in the morning, interviewing them in the evening, talking to them during the day to see how things are going. You see their emotional roller coasters. So, like, you witness everything. You two are, I can't think of anybody else in the entire country.
Rob
Newell, possibly. Yeah. But you guys have an experience and an education to learn and build off of. I mean, it has to make you a better bass fisherman. There's no way that it can't. I mean, you've seen so many things. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Dude, nobody's had what you two have had at y'all's ages. I mean, it's a hell of a learning tool.
I mean, the thing is, if I could like synthesize all that into making me like definitely making me a better fisherman, I mean, I'd be like way better than I am at fishing right now. There's there's that extra there, I guess maybe 6 cents or whatever, but like there's a level of being good at fishing that the best are that I'm not. That said, I have seen like some incredible things.
You have to have seen, I mean, just like Matt, I mean, you guys have watched the pinnacle of the sport at their finest hour when it all comes together. And also with that, you've seen the pinnacle of the sport in their final hour when it doesn't come together. You know, you've both witnessed that, you know, because you're picking a horse in the race that morning at takeoff. That's who you go follow, and it doesn't pan out. You see that as well. So you guys have seen both sides of it.
Okay. I don't know if I've ever really gone down this rabbit hole. Because fishing is unique. Do you agree with this, Jody, in that there is no, like, you're an analyst for any other stick and ball sport. Like, it's pretty obvious that the reason you're not out there is because you don't have the physical ability to be out there. Fishing is different, right? Because, like I said, the physical ability has little to do with it. I just mentioned you got a Rick Clunn, you've got a guys who are 18 to 74, right? That's crazy to be competing at the top level of the sport. So what it comes down to is decision making and what you do under pressure. Now you can watch as many of the different guys do what they want, know how they're supposed to do it and things. But the only way I think you can get good, and the reason those guys are good, is because they know how to handle their decision making, their pressure. They know their strengths. They know how to manage the moment and succeed in it. And that's something that you can never learn by watching it. You have to live it. So for me, it doesn't matter that I know it, that I've watched Brett Hite throw chatterbait for days and Dean Rojas frog for days and KVD throw a 6XD on ledges for days. Because you get to a point where, yeah, you can all throw it, but it's the decision-making and how you handle that moment in your head, and you can't learn that by watching anybody.
Yeah.
You have to experience that. You have been with me as I have worked through that process.
What do you think, Jody?
I mean, I don't know. I think that if you could just watch fishing and learn how to fish better and learn how to fish better, significantly better, I think that we would have a lot more people who are a lot better at fishing, just because look at how much live you can watch. And I don't think that live is probably really good in a different way than what I get, because, you know, the final day of the title, I watched Bobby Lane and Kurt Mitchell fish all day long. And, you know, they were catching a lot of smallmouth and it was cool. But if you were watching live, you know, you watched Spencer Sheffield fish all day. You watched Dakota Hebert lose 2 5-pounders. You watched Kurt Mitchell, you know, start catching his fish in the rain. You watched Jacob Wall, you know, catch a 5-pounder late in the day. Like, you watch the whole spectrum. And, you know, it's probably like an equal way to learn. I think where I learn the most, like, from my job is not like just how to win tournaments or something like that. It's smaller things, like I'll gain confidence in a lure because I'll see someone throw it. I'll talk to them later, and all of a sudden maybe I'm throwing a glide bait better than I used to, or I'll, see something in action and start throwing a different hook for a drop shot or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think that there's so many variables in fishing, and, even on a like spectacular final day or something, you can't just go replicate that because it's not going to be the same the next day, but you can take little bits and pieces and, pick it together, and then still find a way to make stupid mistakes because, you're fishing.
The other thing that I've learned is oftentimes guys who are consistently successful do something different. Think of Brian Thrift, David Dudley, and Andy Morgan. They do things that not everyone else is doing in the same way, right? Like Andy with the short string, Thrift with the way he fishes, the way his pattern is set up.
Yeah.
Dudley with the spinning rod and that type of thing. You can go over on the bass side. Obviously, the number one example would be A-Mart. And the more you cover it, there are some that are by the book, textbook. This is how it was supposed to be won, and this guy just outfished everyone at it. But the more you cover the winners and consistently, you realize that they have their own thing that they have been able to adapt and fish with confidence. So as I've watched, one thing I've realized is I love what Jody said about you pick up little things, but I realize that guys who are consistently winning are doing something different. So it makes no sense to be able to try to mimic them or copy a certain guy. The more I watch and cover, the more I realize you have to be super confident in something that you're really good at and make it your own. Yes. Otherwise, you're just another guy that's hoping your lottery number is called every week.
Right. I agree. I just wanted to go down that rabbit hole because when you really look at it that way, and maybe I'm looking at it as a way to learn, right? Maybe a little bit jealous of the deal. You guys have had the opportunity that no one else really has. You guys have experienced and seen things that other guys haven't seen. Nobody.
But if it worked like that, we would literally top 10 every tournament we fished in. It's not that. I think it's almost unfair to just assume that because we've seen so much and been around it that it would automatically translate over to the on the water fishing thing.
I'm not saying that watching that automatically makes both of y'all Jacob Wheeler.
Clearly.
It's just a cool thought, it's just something that I thought about through the years with Matt, and I honestly had never thought about it with you, Jody, and I don't know why until we were, we had you on, and I was like, oh, I got to go down this rabbit hole because I've been down it quite a few times with Matt because I'll quiz him about, 10 years ago when you were following so-and-so, what are they doing different? What did you notice? And anyway, but it's the things that he just talked about, it's confidence in making things their own.
I think it would be interesting to see, if you had Matt Becker or Brian Thrift follow, do what I do for a year and see what they take away. Because I really believe that, the folks who are just top level of fishing, their minds work differently for fishing than mine does.
Yeah.
And, they'll figure out either a different intricacy or they'll figure out more stuff and make better decisions along the way. But, I think that the reason that I do this is because I'm good at tournament coverage. I'm good at taking a photo. If I was good enough at fishing to, fish for a living, I think that there's a chance I could synthesize a lot more of what I see and actually make it work for me.
Well, I also think that the more that so let's say that you put, one of those, Becker, for example, and you put him in your position, he's already so far up the food chain with his knowledge and experience. He's going to pick up on things that you might not just see right off the bat. And it may be little things like just focusing on the guy's mental game. It's 11 o'clock. He didn't have a keeper and he's been leading for 2 days. And I can see it in his body language and then kind of see how he deals with that. Where maybe you and Matt were too worried about, hey, I got to get these pictures uploaded by 11:30, and am I going to have time to go in and do this, and can I stop and shoot Watson on my way in or not? And so maybe that's not as much on your radar, right? While you guys are out there doing your job. I don't know. It was just a cool thought. Maybe nobody else is interested in it, but I know that you two have seen and experienced lots and lots of things. I know the times that I've had some success. You've been with me. I was thinking roller coaster. I remember Okeechobee on day 2, and I was leading after day 1, and it was 11
Didn't
o'clock.
have to weigh in on the final day of that tournament, if I recall.
11 o'clock day 2, I don't have a fish, and you'd been with me for quite a while that morning, and we're floating out off that reed head. And I remember the first big one that bit, and you took the picture, and I was like this. I was like, yes, they're going to bite, because I had been around and around and around. I had just moved, and I'd gotten up, and I'd passed James Watson fishing, and he was like, any good? And I was like, it sucks. And I keep running, and I pull up on that one head, and you pulled up with me, and I caught that first big one, and I was like, God, thank the Lord they're going to bite. So, but yeah, I mean, there's struggles out there. You guys see them every day, up and down, and of course we get to watch it on live too. But I just wanted to go down that rabbit hole with you, because that was cool.
Hey, can we double rabbit hole here? So you went that tournament is a prime example of why I absolutely despise zeroing the weights in the pro circuit. Like, I understand the BPT, totally different animal, totally out of the equation. But I'm talking about that final day. So Brad, you go 25-25, 14-6. You had 71-2. Alex Davis finishes in second with 56-4.
Yeah.
But you would not have won that tournament at all. You would not have won that tournament. Actually, I believe, Chris Johnston would have won that tournament.
Yeah.
Had the weights been zeroed after day 2, but on the final day you would have finished like 6th, 5th, 6th, something like that.
Yeah.
On that?
Yeah.
Are you even allowed to talk about that, Jody, or is that something where you just smile and say, that's an interesting theory, Matt?
I'm not really a zeroed weights guy. I'm a 4-day guy if I had to pick.
I think
which I think everyone knows that about me.
Yeah. I think most of us are. I think even some of the guys that end up making that rule are still 4-day guys, and they get it, but it's done to make an equal playing field on the last day, to bring more drama to the cameras.
You have a lot of blowout wins.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Like, you have
that one at Okeechobee. I mean, 6 pounds doesn't sound like much, but Jody remembers, dude, that thing had been blown out. It was done. History. I mean, there was nobody weighing anything. And I had the bites that day to have another, like, close to 20 pounds. I had hooked up on the end of my line. It just didn't happen for me that day.
Well, your trolling motor was broken.
Yeah, that was part of that. Kind of hurts a guy too when you don't have.
You weren't able. Like, there were multiple ones where I think you could have had a shot to go into the reeds and get them, and you had to try to pull them out instead, right?
Yes, that's what happened.
Yeah.
What's your biggest bag?
But also, it was like 40 degrees and blowing. It was horrible weather for Okeechobee.
What's your biggest bag of smallmouth?
I do not know. I have no clue. It's not very big. I've never weighed. I don't think I've had it. Yeah, I probably have, because we
have a bad attitude on smallmouth fisheries.
I've had some 20-pound bags, but it's been in places like, St. Clair.
You have had a 20-pound bag of smallmouth, though, that you've weighed in?
Yeah, so sure I have at St. Clair, because you can weigh in 20 there and still finish 50th.
Because I'm saying you've got a 2311 spot, bag of spots, and you've weighed in a 27-pound bag of largemouth.
Yeah. Hey, that's actually my favorite picture of all time, Jody, that I have. So, when you go through fishing, when you're done with life or whatever, and you look back, not that I'm done, but as of right now, my favorite picture that I have, you're in it.
The Lanier day 1?
Yes. Yes.
Dude,
because
that was so awesome.
Yeah. I was already thinking about it. Like, when I got up there, I was like, I have no idea what this weighs, but if it weighs what I think it weighs, when I get done, I want the 5-fish picture. I wish we would have done that on stage. I don't know why. That was incredible, that bag of spots like that. But yeah, you're in it.
Talk about that tournament for another couple minutes, because I'm trying to find that photo.
It's not. I was just looking. It's not on his profile, so you're going to have to dig a little more.
I'm at the Lake Lanier day 1 weigh-in. Right?
I think it is on my Facebook account. It may
is it on the day 1 weigh-in?
I bet it is, or it's on one of the stories. But dude, that tournament was
all of the fish, right?
Yeah, it was all fish.
Yeah.
And I wanted, when I went across, I told Bill Taylor, I said, if this weighs what I want it to weigh, I want a picture with me, you, and Jody White.
It's
and we're
not
gonna
there.
haul all 5 up.
Yeah, it's not there.
Yeah, it's like it was, that tournament was awesome. I don't know, I guess we haven't had a tournament at Lanier since then that I've worked, definitely not that time of year. I would love to go back that time of year to Lanier because that was like one of the coolest tournaments that we've had.
Yeah, they were chewing. It was early in the year, and there was a lot of big fish being caught. A lot.
All right, we're going to take our final break of the show. When we come back, I have absolutely no clue what we're going to talk about.
I've got one more thing. We'll go down with Jody.
Okay. I kind of do. I kind of want to go into a little bit of his crystal ball.
Yeah, sounds good.
Into the future. All right. BTL on a Wednesday. MLF, Jody White, Brad Hallman in studio. We'll be back right after this.
Elite Series Pro Daryl Gleason here. My Pro Guide batteries keep me going on those long tournament days and long practice days. Always plenty of juice, never fail. The best part about Pro Guide batteries, it's the people behind the company. They have over 40 years experience in the battery business, keeping all of us fishermen out on the water longer, catching more fish. Check them out at ProGuideBatteries.com.
Vibrating jigs are a great choice for any time of year, and the Kamikaze Swim On is a perfect match for any vibrating jig. 2 sizes and the unique tail design gives it a bait fish profile and a great swimming action for realism. There are 17 colors. See them all at BigBiteBaits.com.
The Spro Little John crankbait has been around for almost 15 years, and it is one of my go-to crankbaits whenever I need a fish in the boat, so you can never have enough new colors. That's why Spro's coming out with a handful of new colors, including Pearl Shad, which has this bleached out white look, but it's got this pearlescent, really, really pretty. We've got Copper Shad, which looks amazing in the water. It's got that purple flake on the back, really, really pops in the water. And then if you want some real pop, we've got Sparkle Shad, nothing but sparkles all over this thing. And then last but not least, we've got the matte Sexy Shad, just a really different looking color for a crankbait. So you want to give them a little different look, that matte Sexy Shad is definitely the one to go with. All these colors are available in the original Little John and the MD.
Combining one of the most popular hook styles with Gamakatsu's beefier Superline offering, the Gamakatsu Superline Offset Round Bend delivers the strength necessary to target big fish in heavy cover. Well suited for braided line and heavier fluorocarbon, the Gamakatsu Superline Offset Round Bend is built using stronger Superline wire that allows anglers to easily fish a finesse worm around heavy cover. The round bend offers a larger bite area, perfect for any worm presentation, while increasing your hookup ratios. The newly enhanced Z-Bend holds your plastics on the hook longer, reducing the number of pull-offs and reducing damage to plastics. Available in 2/0, 3/0, 4/0, and 5/0, this is the most durable worm hook, designed for heavier lines that hold your bait on longer.
Preparation is key to success. And that preparation starts well before you ever hit the water. You're only as strong as your connection to the fish, and your line is that critical connection. Confidence in your line every minute of every day on the water is a necessity, and failure, it's not an option. Sunline makes the fluorocarbon, nylon, and braided lines to give you the strength to guarantee your confidence.
Have you considered purchasing new electronics for your rig? The type of mounts you choose to protect your investment should be part of the decision-making process. No matter if you prefer 1, 2, or 3 graphs up front, Beatdown Outdoors has a solution for you. Adjustable, versatile, rigid, and made in the USA. What's your ultimate electronics setup? Check out the full selection of Beatdown Outdoors products by visiting beatdownoutdoors.com. We're back. BTL on a Wednesday. Hallman exploring the many artifacts
in the back of the studio.
There's a broken Wesley Strader cull tag. There's a Greg Hackney frog. 3 hook spooks, Okie bug spinner baits, bunch of his bowling ball stuff.
Hang on, I didn't even know this one existed.
Which one? Oh yeah, do you remember this, Jody? Oh, so he's like, what is that? That's the Ike.
I really
Iked
can't.
Up energy drink. Get Iked Up.
Didn't even know this existed. You seen this before, Jody?
Is there like a little spiel on there about how you'll fish like Ike if you or?
Yeah, it says never give up. Get Iked up.
There's not a little inspirational?
There's no fishing knowledge on this can. No.
Let me see that can. There's got to be
maybe it comes with like a waypoint, like under the cap or something.
Oh, I see now. Yes.
Is there?
Yeah, you give 110% in everything that you do. Shouldn't your energy drink do the same? So that's your inspiration.
That's pretty short. Brian the Carpenter must have written that. Just call it good. I like it. Short and sweet.
Iked up.
Don't open it. That's like the only unopened can left in existence.
I'm sure it is.
I used to drink them, and back when they were made, and I thought, well, there's an endless supply of these. Surely this is the next Red Bull. And what are you laughing at? And they tasted remarkably similar to Skittles. So you could drink them on the water, and then you could mix them with like Tito's off the water, and you could just stay iked up 24/7.
Tito's.
It was an amazing mixed drink.
So also while I was back in the studio looking at artifacts, I actually found the crystal ball that you said.
We used to use that crystal ball, but it no longer works.
It no longer works.
I think it's stuck on chances are 0.
Really?
With pretty much anything.
Nice.
It just realized it was a fishing industry crystal ball.
Well, you said that you were going to go down the crystal ball in this next segment.
Yeah. All right. So you've been doing this a long time, Jody. Now you're 19, 20, 20. We're almost half a decade into the new era of MLF, which is hard to believe. Hard to believe it's been almost 5 years. I mean, it was announced in 18. It started in 19, 20, 21. We're ending the 4th year here. Where do you see things going in the next 5 years? Do you see college fishing getting bigger, high school fishing getting reformatted, the BPT expanding? Where does the team series go that they just came out with that's going to be on TV? Is there stuff that's going to happen that we haven't even thought of? Where is the next 5 years for MLF as an organization?
Well, you're definitely asking the wrong guy.
I'm asking your opinion.
I'll just
but you
be
have
there
to do
with
political correct.
Whatever. But dude, the team series is kind of interesting. I think it would be cool if we could run big time team tournaments. Just because I like a team derby. But I don't know. I'm not good at predicting stuff because I predict it's like something obvious and it's, sort of right because everyone knew it was going to be sort of right, or I just predict what I want to see happen, and then, sometimes it does, but a lot of times it doesn't. I don't know. It seems like we're like clicking along pretty good right now. It feels like there's a lot of people fishing the tournaments. There's a pretty good number of people watching them. I am not saying there won't be stuff that changes because I'm sure like somebody has a better idea, but I could kind of just see it being like all pretty good and pretty the same. As kind of lame as of an answer that is.
What's next on the live front? What is there with live that we haven't seen yet? What are the possibilities of the next big advancement in live, in your opinion?
Peyote, who used to do the FLW live stuff back in the day, he thought that underwater drones were the next big thing.
Say that again?
He thought that underwater drones would be the thing, where we'd have like live footage watching the fish bite. Seems like that would kind of interfere with the fishing a little bit too much. I don't know if you can just drive a little remote control submarine under a dock and let Brian Thrift skip up there, but I don't know. I mean, it's pretty good like it is, and you can't really add more cameras, and you don't really need more cameras that I can think of. I I would say maybe just more of it. I would love to see like the final day of the Toyota Series Championship live, or like to reform or to change that format a little and like maybe go kind of old FLW tour style where you have like 3 days with co-anglers, and then the final day you drop co-anglers and you put 10 cameras in the boat and you watch, some pros and some locals and some, guys from wherever fish for 200 grand. I think that could be fun, but I don't have a new way to do live.
All right, Jason Mitchell just said cameras dedicated to live scope. We'll just go ahead and say forward-facing sonar technology needs to happen.
That would help with the smallmouth tournaments.
With any tournament.
That would be great. It would be, I'm not saying it would be impossible to do, but like as well as I do, like trying to record live scope is difficult depending on the graph you've got.
Yeah, but with Lowrance, can't you do like a?
Lowrance is easy. Yeah,
you could do
Humminbird
easily
is
do
like
it
almost
with Lowrance.
impossible to record.
Jason, I like that comment. I agree with that. There are some of the YouTube guys that have figured out how to do the 2 cameras and then they put it and then you can watch it. And I think that would be fantastic and actually add a new level of excitement to the forward-facing sonar tournaments, right? That guys are now saying, hey, they're just looking at a screen.
Yeah.
But if you could see the fish and watch them interact with it, I think that would bring a level of excitement. So, Jason, you won the secret contest, which is best comment of the day. The Bass Tank screen cleaner is yours. Send an email to questions@thebasstank.com and get some of this lovely new screen cleaner.
That also seconds for a very nice aftershave.
It is. It smells great. Like I said, the best way that I can promote it is it cleans your screens good.
I can't even.
It's screen cleaner. I had a conversation with John. I was like, I don't really know how to go overboard with the screen cleaner. It cleans your screens.
It's also like that.
But it comes with the microfiber cloth, 2 ounces, 16-ounce bottle. So send your information, questions@thebasstank.com for that idea of split screen with the forward-facing technology. Continue, Jody. Sorry, I wanted to.
I was going to say I don't watch like a ton of fishing because usually when I get done, I can't really watch fishing when I work because then I don't do any work. But when I do watch stuff on YouTube, I watch a fair amount of ice fishing stuff, and almost all of that has live scope really, really well incorporated into the video, and it makes it like 100 times better. Like if I start watching an ice fishing video and there's not live scope, or not, whatever your favorite brand of, in that case, it's not forward sonar, it's down sonar. But if it's not there, I'm like, click, I'm gone. And I know that like there are a lot of people that think that watching live fishing when it's a live scope tournament is boring. And I would be, that would be incredible to do. It would be tricky, but it also, if you dedicated the resources to it, you could probably do it like pretty well, not perfectly, but you could probably do it pretty well without it being too hard. And then if, different electronics manufacturers would like help you out,
that's what I was thinking.
Do it great.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But I don't know if they'd help you out.
That's exactly what I was thinking. If they'd give us a little plug there to plug into a camera, it would be nice.
Speaking of cameras. Anyway. The old
love camera.
See your naughty neighbor live camera back on. I thought we'd had that handled for the last week, but it is what it is. Clay, send your info. Not send. I will make a call to the Bass Tank after this to make sure Clay was the original winner of the Bass Tank screen cleaner a couple weeks ago. I don't know what their turnaround time is over there. All I know is it's got to be faster than my turnaround time, so it's an upgrade.
Jody, you've always done a good job over there, really good, and you're a hustler. I'm going to tell a little story on you. I hope you don't get mad at me about this. When we were at Grand, I guess that was 2019 or so, 2019. It was right. It was in the fall, and it was right when the announcement came out that MLF had purchased FLW, right? And everything. I mean, it was like right when it came out.
It was like all anyone was talking about at that tournament.
Yes. Yeah. And, you, rightfully so, being a young man, you were concerned. You know, you had a job that you'd been working at for quite some time, and you were legitimately worried. We went to dinner one night, and you and I talked about it, and you were really concerned about your future, you know, where you would be if you had a future with going forward, or if you were going to have to possibly do something else. You didn't know. I mean, just completely out in the open. And I'll tell you this, and I mean it. You were in your 20s, and I was in my 40s. And I can tell you that as a 40-something-year-old man, no matter what walks of life and jobs that are out there, there's not many people that take it as serious and work as hard as you do. And I truly mean that. And it shows in the mornings. We're out there, there's 30 boats, and there's 120, 50 boats, and you're trying to find 10 of them to get cameras mounted. Half these guys have never had a camera in their boat before in their life. And the others, you're carrying around a pocket full of those sticky deals to put on the windshields. You've worked out a system to where you can plug it in because you know they're not going to check the camera all day. You want the camera to work all day long, and you're not going to get it back. So you're trying to stick that GoPro in there or whatever kind of camera you're trying to get and get it wired up so that it'll work all day long no matter what happens. And you're literally sprinting in the dark at 5 a.m. and pouring down rain and headlights trying to find this boat and that boat. Dude, there's not many guys like that. And I knew at the time, I was like, dude, no one gets rid. Like they may get rid of 90% of the people that work there. You will not be one of them. People just don't come around like you very often. So I wasn't worried about you, and obviously it's worked out well for you, and I'm happy, man. I'm happy for you. But you do a great job, dude. And you've been there for everybody. So like on the flip side, just like with Panger, you're a big part of everybody's success too. You know, you've helped them along. You take the pictures, the videos, the camera work when they are having their finest hours, and it means a lot to them too, dude. It does.
Well, Riley, I appreciate that because it's been a really cool job to work, you know, through all of the different iterations and, you know, from the battery series to the Toyota series. Like, it's been fun.
The battery series.
It was the Ever Starts and the Rayovacs for a while. I mean, we were selling some juice.
I know. It was awesome. Yeah, I will second what Bradley says as far as it's just kind of you have been a staple over there as far as putting out fresh, innovative content, figuring out a different way to cover things, to make it easy to digest, to put into perspective. And if there is like, dude, in my opinion, if you went to them and said, I want twice as much money tomorrow for your job, they're idiots if they don't say, yeah, you're 100% worth it because we cannot lose you.
Yeah, it's time for a raise, Jody. Go in and draw the line in the sand. That's what every smart man
just
does.
Saying.
I'm leaving or
I'm just saying,
don't do that. Don't
regardless
do that.
of what you – no, yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, then I'll start that lawn mowing business for sure then.
Incredibly valuable in the industry and very, very knowledgeable. And, dude, you can also tell that you genuinely enjoy it, too, right? Like, there's people who just go and do their jobs
Absolutely.
and stuff.
That's what I meant when I was saying that. Like,
yeah.
It's obvious to everyone around that he cares and he works so hard at it. And he does a really good job with it.
Yeah.
His social media, dude, your social media is banging. Like, I'm jealous of some of the shots that you did. I'm sure they were on Champlain. Like, one of those was a crib shot. Is that what that was? Was that a Champlain crib? The pop R on top, and you've got the drone up in the air and straight overhead. I love that shot. I love the shot where you're casting too to the laydown. That's a great one as well.
That was actually the Hudson River.
Okay.
Like upstream of Albany where it's kind of clear and it's not really that good at fishing. And dude, I fished like 8 of those cribs. There's like an old bridge or something that went through there. And I fished probably 8 or 10 of them, put the drone up, got myself lined up. Every time, like, let me get a big smallmouth to bite this. And the biggest bite I got was like a 4-inch of it came off.
There's some dirty cribs on your home pond there that you're so fond of that you might be able to get that shot.
I would say if you just haven't gotten enough Jody White in this, there is a December 14th, 2014 YouTube video out under Gambler Lures, and all it is just rock music and a hook set montage of Jody White just going ham on.
I saw that on there some time ago. I was wondering, were you with Gambler at the time? How did you end up doing that? Were you working for Gambler?
No. I think that someone there just sent me some baits and I sent them some video. And then, I mean, honestly, like I've used a BB Cricket a bunch since then, but I never went, it never went anywhere.
Wait, here's another one. Swim jigging bass on Crab Orchard in Illinois. Crab Orchard.
Yeah, dude.
Ooh.
So when Kentucky was bad, and I lived there at the end, I started going to Southern Illinois like a lot.
Okay.
And actually, it was kind of fun. Like I liked those lakes up there.
All right. Anything else? Any other thing you have a burning desire to get in here, Jody?
No, I just want to tell you, I want to tell him I appreciated the waypoints. So like he fished the last open, kicked both our butts, finished 20. What did you finish? 21st, second, third, something like that.
I finished below AJ Slagona. I know that.
So
AJ and
you
26.
You beat me and Matt, and I just sat down this morning before we got on the air, and I was like, yeah, he was sending me waypoints all through practice with all these fish on the screen, and Matt was like, really? And I was like, yeah, he would send them, and it'd be like, this one's loaded. Look at all these, and then send me the waypoints. I said, dude, they were all walleye waypoints.
Oh, you told him we were keeping walleye to eat, and he was like,
Brad said he wanted walleye. I'm like, anytime I found a bunch, I was like, I know the man for these.
The craziest thing about that was, we roomed me, you, Upshaw, and John Soka, and like an hour into the first day, John has never been on Oneida, nothing. We're like, hey, we keep walleye and perch and stuff, legal, cleared it. It's before official practice starts anyway. And like, we've got a group text, and Andrew's like, I got one. And I was super pumped. I was like, I got two. Brad's like, I got one. John's like, I got a limit of walleye, 3 perch, and 9 rock bass. And we're like, what the? Are you fishing with night crawlers? Like, what are you doing?
And look at this giant catfish I got.
And a 16-pound catfish. Do we want it? And I was like, no, but where are you? I'll take a picture of it. So we met back, and I got a picture of him with it. But literally, like, he was like,
he did.
Instantly, and he's like, and I got 6 schools if any of you guys want to go catch him.
It was so bad, Jody, that my 11-year-old boy was up there with us that week, staying in the house, and by the second or third day I came in the afternoon, and I was the last one in, and Matt was cleaning fish, and my boy goes, Dad. I said, what? And he said, that John guy can catch some fish. Because he did it every day to us. But it was good because we were eating them all, so I was glad he was catching them.
Yeah. Oneida's, I don't like that lake that much, to be honest, but it was a good tournament.
Tell us how you caught them. I'm interested. You beat us. I want to hear about that. Tell us how you caught them.
I caught them throwing a football jig on little rock piles, like you're extremely supposed to do at Oneida.
That's what I did.
And then every day I caught a big one on a popper on top. I guess around the mayflies. I think day one was a really big missed opportunity for me, which it was my best day. But
morning pop-R bite or midday pop-R bite?
Day 2, it was in the morning. Day 1, I caught like a 4 and 2 3s at like 1 o'clock.
Wow.
What was the missed opportunity on day 1?
Well, day 1, I think they were also eating mayflies in the morning at one of the shoals I was on, and I did not tune into that. And if I had, I think I could have popped like a really big bag, because I think I could have done it like basically all day.
Very impressive. I started in one of those groups. that, one of those shoals that had 20 boats on it. And everybody was dragging the football jig except one person, my buddy Kurt Dove. And I just heard explosion, explosion, explosion. And I thought he was jerk baiting. He was far enough away that I couldn't see him. And he had caught 3, and no one else around us had a bite. And that's my angler. I was like, he got another one on? And he's like, yeah, man, he's killing them. I said, is he jerking? He said, no, I think he's pop-R'ing. Now, do you think I reached down in my box and tied one on? No. Nope.
The bird man.
The bird man.
Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, like, what do you rank Champlain? So I've never fished a tournament on Champlain. I've just covered events on Champlain.
You should.
You fish Champlain a ton. Like, is Champlain, in your mind, you've been around the world covering these things and every fishery and breaking it down, and in your mind, is Champlain the best tournament bass lake in the country?
So I'm not an unbiased observer on this, because like when I launched the boat at Champlain, just emotions well up in me. It's so beautiful. if you're running down in the middle part of the lake, you've got the Adirondacks on the side, the sunsets there and the sunrises there. It's spectacular. Like, I think it's a 10 out of 10 tournament lake. It's a 10 out of 10 just going to Fish Lake. I love it. I don't know if it's the best tournament lake in the country, but it's up there, man.
What's better?
It's really good. Better places, I mean, going out of Clayton for a Lake Ontario Thousand Islands tournament. Like, I know you don't have the variety there, which the variety is the spice of life at Champlain, but there you can hide from the wind in the islands, and you've got the lake, and you've got like an unparalleled smallmouth opportunity, which like Champlain is good. There's a lot of fish. We don't have 6-pounders like left and right like they do out there. So that might be better. Other than that, I like smallmouth a lot. So other than that, I can't really think of something. Most of the southern lakes kind of blend in together for me. I do really like spotted bass tournaments. They're
like
usually
a Table
pretty
Rock.
fun.
I would put Champlain and Table Rock on the same level. Completely different fisheries, right? But I'm talking about as far as diversity, do what you want, make long runs, spread out, not fish on top of each other, multiple species play.
Yeah, but the scenery.
Table Rock doesn't have grass, though, right?
I know, but we're talking about... No, it doesn't.
I mean, you want to be able to put a big weight in your hand every once in a while.
All right, so I'll give you some ideas, because obviously we like some of the same things, because I will say, without a shadow of a doubt, coming out of Plattsburgh and making that right and turn and going south in the morning to Ticonderoga on a smooth morning where you're not getting your ass kicked. The sun
it's incredible.
The sun coming up over the Adirondacks is moving. It will move your soul. It's an incredible view. Okay, so let me throw some more at you. So I've experienced that. I think that Lake Amistad is a beautiful place. Have you been there?
I never have. I really want to go.
Okay. Clear Lake, California has that same mystery to it, right? Like, there's big ones everywhere. They're going to bite, and it's beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. I think that those three, I feel the same way about Lake Mead, and every time I talk about it when I'm there, all the guys on the West Coast are like, you got to go to Powell. If you think this one's the deal, you got to see Powell. Yeah.
Like, it's prettier?
Yes, that's what they say.
How could it be prettier than the Narrows at Lake Mead?
So, have you been to Lake Mead before, Jody? You probably have not, right? Am I guessing correct on that? Have you been there?
I have not. I actually went on a family vacation when I was real little at Lake Powell, and I guess it was really cool, but also I didn't have like a ton of Western lakes to compare it to.
So Mead kind of has that same experience in the morning at takeoff. You take off, and if you're going to two of the biggest parts of the lake, the two biggest arms on the lake, you're running straight east in the morning. And to run through it, you run through this area that they call the Narrows. And I don't know how it is. It narrows down and shoots through there. But I would say the cliffs are 1,000 feet high. Are they that tall? 800 feet high? They're not 1,000. That's not right.
Cathedral high.
Yeah. I mean, they're like a 20-story building.
Like Game of Thrones type stuff.
And you run through this, and it lays east and west, kind of. And you can't see the sun. Like, it's all shaded when you're coming through. And then right when you start to clear it, the sun just, boom, right in the, it's amazing. I mean, it's a lot like the Adirondacks type run to Ticonderoga. It's very similar. But anyway, those are three of my very favorite places that I've been, tournament-wise.
Yeah, I agree on Clear. It's a gorgeous lake. I wish it was bigger.
Yeah.
And I would like to cover like a top-level tournament there. You know, the Toyota Series is amazing, but the Western Toyota Series events, like, they have a little bit of a different vibe than our other Toyota Series tournaments, just because the field is not huge. You know, it's a little bit different. But then Havasu is another lake that is really, really pretty like that. And dude, once I ran up the Colorado River, like you're going over like 6 foot deep, clear blue water with like sand flats underneath going up to the backwaters.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if you go up there when the sun is coming up, oh my goodness, it's a special lake.
I've never done that. I've covered it. I've covered the stuff on Havasu, but I have never been up there. It's cool, some of the stuff we get to see.
Yeah, you guys
covering or fishing. I think we almost appreciate it more covering it, Jody, because we don't have the pressure like when I used to.
You're
cover
not in the hurry.
You know, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, my season is on the line here. It's like, this is really cool. I feel like you can appreciate the moments more. But you lose it at the takeoff, like where you were talking, Brad. You've got the whole day in front of you. You're in the beautiful. You've got your game plan. You know there's big bass. Everything is right with the world. So like when you're out to take pictures, like you don't get that high. But then we also don't have to deal with the stress and when you're covering it.
Yeah.
Because I noticed this year at Oneida, I intentionally tried to get. And it still didn't work. Like to get lost in the moment. Like a day on Thousand Islands and Alexandria Bay and smallmouth fishing with multiple 19-pound limits should not be stressful. But it was still stressful for me last year in the Open.
No,
right?
I get that. Yeah.
But it's still really pretty. I felt the same way about Clear Lake, Jody. I was like out there covering it when Velvic won, when he had the BV 3D or the Rago bait with the sauce that he was slathering on it in the corner down there. And I just remember thinking, this thing is like a pond. Like it's not that big.
I heard about Clear Lake and I always used to think the water was clear, and it's not. And then 2, I thought it must be huge because it has 10-pounders everywhere. And I ran from like one end to the other one day, and I was like, this is not a big lake at all. But, growing up on Champlain, I mean, a lot of lakes aren't big compared to that. But, even like the southern reservoirs, you can run 40 minutes, no problem on most of them.
Growing up at Champlain, there should be nothing that you drop your boat in that you're like, okay, this is just too big. I mean, even the Great Lakes, like,
Champlain is like a great lake.
That's some great experience. Yeah. I kind of felt that way.
Oh, I was going to say, I do get seasick, though. Like, on Lake Erie, there's something about those rollers on Lake Ontario. Like, when it's rough, like, I'll be over the side. Whereas Champlain, never once in my life, no matter how rough it's been, I feel anything.
I've had co-anglers throwing up over the side of the boat on Erie as well.
Really?
Yeah, I watched them eat those. Those pink, those pink donuts that you buy in the package, the ho-hos.
Yeah.
He was sitting in the morning eating those, and I knew the wind was blowing, and I was thinking to myself,
"Oh, that's not going to be pretty."
This is not going to be good. Yeah, they came back up.
Nice.
Oh.
Nice. The last time I did that, me and Kyle Wood, it was after Lucas won that like super tournament that we ran in 2020 at Sandusky, and he didn't do day 5, and so we went out the next day with Gray, and there were like 6-footers, and Kyle and Gray Buck are off fishing off the front of the boat catching smallmouth, and I'm in the passenger seat just like blowing chunks, and it's like this is not great. But then I got back up, I caught a smallmouth, I started to feel a little bit better, and then we moved, and I looked, I spent some more time looking at live scope with my head down, and then it went right back downhill.
Whose idea? We're getting long on this show, but I just got to think, some of this really good stuff that you've worked on in the past was original as well, kind of like Mark Jeffries.
And the Mark Daniels Jr. stuff, the Cody Meyer stuff.
Yeah, man, that
the
stuff
day 5 stuff.
The day 5 after that stuff was really good. Whose ideas were those when you guys started that? Because that was really original.
Day 5 would have been, realistically, it was Jesse Schultz, who still works for MLF, used to work at FLW. Bradley, you were our guinea pig for day 5. Like, that was the first one we ever did.
Really?
And then we branded it later on. We had like an actual name for it, but you at Okeechobee was when I think you and I got maybe one bite that day.
Yeah.
Like, it was a maybe situation.
Yeah.
And then, as far as circuit breaker, like, I think Travis and Kyle probably were sort of the probably the guys who had the idea, but I don't exactly know. But dude, not day 5, but Circuit Breaker was ahead of its time. Like
way ahead.
It was.
We let it tail off, and maybe it was going to get too crowded out anyway, because at the point that we had it tail off, YouTube was taking off. There was a lot of other stuff happening, but man, early on, gosh, that was just
you're first
so
to the
good.
game. You tend to stick around.
Yeah, that Casey Martin season was great.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Mark Daniels Jr. season, like, you could not have put together a better thing, because he caught him so good, and then Mark is like just an awesome dude.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. I mean, it was like a perfect show. And I didn't really do like a tremendous amount of stuff on that. Like, I don't want to take any credit for like being important to that. You know, like, I held a camera and a mic like a couple of times, but it was a really good show. Like, I was really proud of just the folks putting that together and that we were doing it.
You look back on that, and that was like a really cool time, because I remember that was when live was also like starting to blow up, and you're trying to figure out how this live element is going to work in, and you know, who has more cameras, how many days you going live, is it the final day, but you were basically, you take you and Kyle Wood and a couple of the other guys over there, you guys were basically just like a group of 20-something guys obsessed with bass fishing that FLW kind of said, all right, what do you got for us? Right?
Yeah,
I mean, you could kind of just explore any of the ideas that you came up with. It seemed from the outside.
We were like trying everything then. And we were trying a lot of stuff, and we were like, I still am not sure how we got as much done as we did. Like, we worked incredibly hard. Not that we slack off now necessarily, but there was something in the water for a few years where we had like a ton of fight in us. We were whatever we thought we would do, we would do. Kurt Niedermeyer, my old boss, he works at Mercury now. He was like instrumental in that, because Kurt is incredible and a super hard worker. And like, we had a dedicated team, and we really knew what we were doing. Like, we were pretty honed in. Like, we're going to cover the Toyota series and stuff, but we are going all in on, you know, how to cover the FLW tour the best that we could.
Previews were amazing. I remember the previews, because I used to do previews on Bass Hunt for the Elite Series, and the previews that you guys did on FLW were just, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Dude,
they were really before their time, and I mean, dude, they were just really good. I mean, really, really good. I enjoyed all of them.
Yeah.
All three seasons is what you guys did with Circuit Breaker, right?
So it was actually 4, but we never finished the 4th, because it was Casey Martin and then Chad Grigsby and JT Kenny at the same time.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then Mark Daniels and then Cody Meyer. And we never finished the Meyer season.
I forgot about the JT one, and that was one of my favorite ones, because he was standing out in front of the camper, and y'all were asking about his day, and he's like, "You see this big circle right here? This is a big circle of suck." It was really good.
That's what I call that. I call that the beer year.
Yeah.
They didn't catch him in that one that year very well, and like, there were some times where it was kind of tough, because like, you could tell they weren't catching them, and they were a little defeated. And at the same time, like, that's part of pro fishing. You know, it's kind of good that we got that on camera.
The day 5s are still around. They haven't gone anywhere. They're there. I see Gary West saying I was sad to see the day 5s
I
go
wanted
away.
to address that.
Like literally, they just put Kyle Hall's day 5 on Lake Champlain out on the MLF website. Like, they're still there.
Yeah, and we filmed one with Sheffield the other day, and like, I don't want to hype it too much, but I think it's going to be pretty good.
Are day fives generally like tough for guys like they were for me, or do y'all just go out there and smash them?
No, like, they're almost always tougher than it should be, it seems like. Like, by the time you get to that final day, I think that you've burned so much.
Yeah.
Or the weather changes or something, like,
right.
You know, with Kyle Hall's day 5, you know, to go behind the scenes a little bit, we didn't fish the juice because he had the Toyota Series event coming up. And so we like made a day 5, and we kind of showed how to do it, but
he's like, here's how to finish 100th in the upcoming tournament.
Yeah. But like, we had some circumstances where we were trying to, you know, not spill all of the beans necessarily. Sheffield, you know, we got some like really cool footage. Rob dove down to a boulder. Like, we both caught 4-pounders. Like,
dude,
it's legit.
Matsura is unbelievable.
Yeah,
Rob
is incredible.
Social media, yeah.
Gosh,
you guys had like a, and still do, and to some extent, but like, yeah, that nucleus for a couple years was like,
yeah.
I mean, it was like, I'm trying to think what would a sports team be like back then, where you like didn't really like the early years of the Golden State Warriors.
Kyle's presence, his camera presence is really good. You know what I mean? He just naturally, it comes off really, really well.
He's so good on video. I'm not really that good on video. Like, I feel like I'm a pretty good talker. I'm a pretty good writer. Kyle, like, you put him in front of a camera and he just makes good stuff. It's every time.
So it would have been Niedermeyer, Kyle at one point, right? That was covering before this was in FLW. At one point, it would have been Niedermeyer, Kyle Wood, you, Rob.
Yep.
Rob Newell, and Matsura. Both of the Robs.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Newell and Matsura overlapped. They might have, like, very briefly, like for maybe a year.
Okay.
But when MLF like kind of started doing more stuff, Newell kind of like went that direction.
Okay. Yeah, that's a crazy good team.
Yeah, no, we were
pretty
dialed.
Newell left FLW and went to work for MLF. Isn't that right? Isn't that what happened, Kyle? Jody?
Before MLF bought FLW back when...
Yeah, that is what happened.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, he was like,
left.
I think he was, you know, Newell's always typically done a few things, and he left, like, he basically stopped working all the tour events and started working like BPT stuff.
Yeah.
And I think we sort of like, we still used him a couple times, like for Toyota series and things like that. And we still do, but he's like mostly Bass Pro Tour now.
Right. No, I was just trying to go back in history. I thought that he had left FLW around 2018, something like that, and had gone to work for MLF. And then, of course, the merger, when they buy it back a year or two later, then he's right back in the fold. Just funny how the business goes around. It's a small world.
Yeah. On that business note, I want like a couple-hour podcast with you about the PAA. I would listen to that.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah. That was some time ago.
You think we could get John on to talk? We think John would talk about it, or Mansu, or who?
Oh, yeah, I've got some names of people that know a whole lot about it. Yeah, Mansu would be high on the list.
I mean, I did all those in the TTBCs. I mean, I was
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to think of who all were the investors at the time when we all, towards the end, when they were fundraising. They were $10,000 chunks, too. They were good. Takahiro, I think, was a couple shares. Yeah. There was quite a few guys involved in that. Yeah, that you're right, Jody. That'd be some good stories there. The PAA. Back when.
All right. Anything else, Jody?
Nah, I'm all good. I'm gonna, as soon as I get off this, I'm gonna, get some ice and go fishing.
Gosh, we're keeping him off the water. I kept Charlie Hartley off the water the other day, and I genuinely felt bad. Now I've kept Jody White off the water at Champlain. Charlie Hartley was on Champlain, too.
I don't think it's that good.
Chautauqua. No, it's still pretty good, I think.
If you got an Instagram account, it's under Jody Blanco.
Yes, sir.
It's a good one. Quality stuff.
And
well, thanks, guys, for having me on. I really appreciate it.
MajorLeagueFishing.com. Yeah, I can't believe I've never had you on before. Really, first time. I guess it is.
Finally.
Anyway, good job catching them this year. Keep up the good work. And follow Jody White on all of his social media platforms, and then over at MajorLeagueFishing.com. What do you got coming up, Bradley, as far as the YouTubes and all that?
I just did one over monofilament that will hopefully drop on Thursday.
I will
Is
watch that one.
monofilament still important in the game of bass fishing?
I will 100% watch that one. I fish the Sunday jackpots with Robert DeGraffenreid, and he has 20-pound monofilament string.
Yep. It still has a place, I think.
All year, I've only watched him break off once, and he has given him the beans. He's given him the onions. I mean, that dude reels down and hammers them. Mono does not break. He has jumped off a couple, though.
It's got a little stretch.
All right, this has been another edition of BTL Fast Talk Live. We'll just leave Jody on for the outro there. Thanks, dude. I greatly appreciate it. We're out of here. We'll see you tomorrow for day 4 with Frank Scalish. We're out.